Hello, folks, and we are back with a little bit of a change of cast along with this new change of teams. Sir Waltham and Twin Salty now at the helm to bring you RIT versus St. John's. Twin Salty, how are we feeling this week?
I'm feeling good, man, and we got a pretty good rematch on our hands. These teams have seen each other already before this season, and I can't wait to see if RIT can bring a little bit more to this game this time around.
Yeah, I mean, I'm certainly going to be hoping so. RIT, I think, definitely needs to get into that headspace of being a champion, being a winner. Just coming out of versus St. John's, definitely going to be looking very strong. But as we go ahead and talk about the map pool here, we're going to be seeing at least the first three. Going to be Nepal, Kings Row, Volskaya. If necessary, we'll break it to Dorado and Lijiang after that. But I mean, I always like to say, finish your main course before you worry about dessert.
Yeah, exactly. The main course being Nepal, Kings Row, and Volskaya. And Kings Row, it's everybody jokes around. It's Scrims Row. Everybody practices it. We saw a near record time earlier today with 5 minutes on the time bank. So hopefully, in a way, in the competitive spirit, I kind of hope we don't see it. But if we see a speed run on Kings Row, I don't think I'm gonna complain too much, just because it's always good to see a nice little speed run.
It certainly does. I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm the kind of person to go up at 3 a.m., look up speedrun history videos, and just watch those for 3 hours. But a different kind of speedrun here through Kings Row, one where it's very much so against another team, and you never want to be the team who's on the losing end of that situation, especially if you're RIT. Your mentality is going to have to kind of maintain here. But now, as we talk about these two teams, we're going to be heading right into Nepal to start.
Going into Nepal Village will be the first map of the day. And again, these teams have seen each other before. Back in week 8, right before the winter break, the last game of fall split, St. John's had a swift 3-0 victory. So RIT definitely going to be looking to get back on track. Maybe get a little bit of revenge as well in this game. But St. John's, they've just been cruising along. They are 9-2. And with this being their final conference game, looking to end their conference schedule on a good note.
Well, they certainly have a huge opportunity to do that. And as we take a quick peek at the compositions coming out of Spawn, we're going to be seeing that Symmetra. I imagine it's just for the teleporter. We do see it come out immediately. It does look like if you stay, going to be swapping off onto the Reaper and perhaps expecting the Tracer. But either way, RIT going to be keeping on that Sim. RIT perhaps going to be looking to leverage that interior of the point to try to really put down some severe damage. St. John's right now, however, just posturing, trying to find their opening and waiting for those moments. We do see if you stay on that Reaper, creeping around into the backline, trying to find anybody overexposed. Eventually met with the Storm's Eye, but can't quite chase off that Lucio given the range here. And RIT finally going to start having that opportunity to get some point progress. St. John's does go in for the contest. Immediately met with a couple of Sim turrets. The Immortality Field goes out early, and RIT start off with an early cap, and now St. John's has to start a slightly losing battle with if you stay taken down early on. Earthshatter up from Jolt and Joe immediately gets value in finding 5 off the back end. St. John's didn't start off with point possession, but they're certainly looking to take it.
Yeah, they certainly will take it here. And the window from Liam Lizard, definitely not needed, but I think a little bit more like an ego play. Like, all right, yeah, we're just going to use it. Let's build it up next fight. And it looked good for RIT for a good amount of time. You cap point first. St. John's doesn't touch. You have the Sim turret set up. You have the May wall available. And then the Shatter comes down. And then everybody is laid on their backs. 4 of your team members die within a second. And it completely flips the fight on their head. And RIT, they have 4 ultimates, maybe even 5 ultimates this fight. So they definitely have more utility than St. John's if they can use it correctly.
Oh, some nice sectioning coming off from that May wall. Earthshatter comes out. A lot of ultimates being committed from RIT. Just as many as St. John's used last time around. And RIT able to make a commanding capture so far.
Yeah, able to take it right back. And they're coming out swinging on this map. And, the Sim and May is very picky to deal with. You have to pick the right battles and pick the right angles to push in. And that time around, Jolt and Joe just gets stuck behind the May wall. It gets focused down, leaves Seb open for the 3-man Shatter in the back line. And now the wall is going to be separating out the Baptiste. Only Lucio heals for a little bit. We'll see if RIT take advantage of it, but they're just going to elect to go back to point.
RIT couldn't really take advantage of it just because of that angle that Baptiste was still able to throw a couple of healing shots into his team. A nice Proton Barrier coming out, trying to mitigate the effects of that Deadeye. Jolt and Joe taking a wailing, eventually being brought to their knees by Seb. Now St. John's going to be reeling without their main tank. They have to try to make a speedy escape. Storm's Eye going to be helping them with speed.
Yeah, going to be able to get them out, and not too many Not too much ult percentage given to RIT and St. John's now. You know, you're getting to a little bit of a dangerous scenario now. Maybe 1 to 2 fights that Maywall is gonna delay enough for RIT to be able to drop right back down. Instead, no.
Oh.
2-way being used.
And Jolton Joe just not able to get a foothold into these fights. Diva Bomb I thought was going out, does go out, a little bit delayed though, not quite able to leverage any of those good angles. Lucio sectioned off, and speaking of Lucio, Storm's not going to be giving their team the beat, allowing RIT to really get in there. We've actually seen St. John's go to the other side of the field. RIT has to be very careful, they could get sectioned off. Diva almost getting caught out by the pin, instead just gets hit by the bomb. Mr. Koala Man going to be getting a nice free a free remake there. But the Blizzard coming out from Foliage once again going to be locking down this point. It's overtime. RIT just has to clear off these remaining members. The Mortality Field goes out. Storm's Eye managing to get 2 with the Earth Shatter returning from Jolton Joe, but it can't be followed up. RIT starting themselves off strong, but if you stay coming back with that Reaper Death Blossom isn't going to be enough to take down those few remaining members. The Baptiste caught mid-air. RIT starting off well here.
Yeah, RIT shocking us all maybe, as, you know, going into this, you know, they lose the series earlier on in the season 3-0 in a pretty convincing fashion. You're thinking St. John's is going to, you know, go out early, build momentum for the rest of the series. And RIT is like, no, you know, we're here to fight. We've looked a lot better the second half of the season. And they can really, you know, start pushing it. Yes, it's a little bit of a niche strat with the Sim and the Mei. Now, as we're heading into round 2, with it being Shrine, it's going to be a little bit more bare bones, more of a basic comp. Still the Sim, at least out of spawn. But you're going to have to match them toe for toe in the variety of the heroes being played, with the only difference right now being Pines on that Sim.
If I'm being optimistic, you say it's a little bit of a niche strategy, but it shows great fundamentals coming out from RIT, really utilizing that map manipulation. They're going to need to continue to maintain that here, although they're not going to have that Sim. They're going to have the Cassidy instead. And Jolton Joe already taking quite a bit of damage, and RIT definitely seems to show that they have this aggression really going forward. We don't see If You Stay get any kills from that Doomfist, meaning that now St. John's going to have to wait a little bit longer for those cooldowns to come off rotation. And in the meantime, Seb's still just able to get big swings, cutting through a large number of St. John's. If You Stay dangerously low, has to back off, but Fizz chasing them down. Liam Lizard going to be throwing in the Amplification Matrix, and Fiscal trying to take advantage, but can't quite make it happen. Landed a couple of shots, but it's not going to be enough. RIT, however, now is going to have their ultimate start to come online, and St. John's does not seem to have the power to match, especially with that Earth Shatter going down.
Yeah, that Shatter is the emphasis, the exclamation point on that fight. And it just seems like St. John's, they cannot deal with the Symmetra of Pine so far. Just the amount of pressure that the Symmetra beam and the turrets put onto Jolton Joe, onto Mr. Koala Man, it just doesn't let them push in with confidence, because they're and for Jolton Joe, their shield gets melted within seconds. And now as they try and push back in, that window is not going to help with that shield health very much.
Certainly not. Jolton Joe already looking to have their work cut out for them, but they're already nestled nicely on the point, but a nice block coming in from Seb. Poppy throws down the Amplification Matrix, but isn't saved by the by the Sound Barrier. Meteor Strike coming in does manage to put a little bit more pressure down. St. John's looking to reclaim just a little bit. Jolton Joe taking a brief moment of stun, eventually burned down by that Castian. It looks like RIT wants to really get a stranglehold on this point. They're so far doing fairly successfully in that task, but the few remaining members seeming to be peeled one by one off point, but this continues to be a good thing for them. They keep getting that point percentage.
Yeah, they at least stall this out for at least another 5 to 10 seconds. Pine's still on there with the Storm's Eye. Now it's just the Storm's Eye trying to stall this out for even longer. But yeah, they get a good, 15% extra on this point. It'll be at 80% when it flips. Definitely something to cheer about if you're RT. You have probably two fights still that you need to win this map. But again, a great start. And now what are they going to pull out of the bag with a Sim TP? They have the utility for it if they want to try something goofy, or, you know, they have the Deadeye and the Sim Barrier for a normal push. Well, they won't have their Cassidy for a bit here.
RIT definitely not learning to check their corners, have not been playing enough tactical shooters, and right now are going to have to just take a hard moment, regroup while Foliage comes back.
Yeah, and they do have the resources, as I said. St. John's also does have the Shatter of their own online. Fiscal does have the Deadeye as well. So it might be a battle more who can control space.
Oh no.
With ultimate more than eliminations.
If you stay, going to be going in for the Meteor Strike, trying to find what they can. The Immortality Field comes out, and a nice return pin coming in from Seb, but it's only Pyrrhic and Victory. They're going to be investing a late Proton Barrier into this, and that's a little bit questionable considering 3 members were already down. Viz throwing in their, no, not throwing in their self-destruct. It was going to be Koala Man throwing it in.
Yeah, Koala Man throws out Viz. This is a bad stagger. Viz is like, just please kill me already, please. And he eventually does die, and it's gonna stall even longer. St. John's, by the time this next fight occurs, it's basically gonna be even Stevens on this point for percentage. It's going to be a pure battle of who can win this fight, because whoever wins this fight without using too many resources is in a very good spot. Early Deadeye from Fiscal just creates some space and stalls for even more time.
Yeah, that Deadeye, more so than zoning, is going to put time pressure onto RIT, but you got to be very careful if you're St. John's. You might use too many ultimates here, although that amplification matrix doesn't seem to be too lost in the sauce. We're going to be seeing St. John's continuing to put down a lot of damage. Seb only getting 1 with that Earth Shatter. It's going to be Slurpee. Everybody else just getting picked apart, and RIT just were not able to hold it out for the back end of this map.
You're not able to hold it out, and we will be forced to go to Sanctum for round 3. And again, at least it seems like both teams here to play, especially RIT swinging early, but you know, you worry in these mirror matchups how they're going to match up against a team that maybe on paper is a little bit better than them. And so far, for the most part, they've went toe-to-toe. You wonder if as well for St. John's, Rich not playing right now, if you stay, is in that secondary DPS slot. And if you stay zone, it's very hot or cold with them, right? Especially with the Doomfist, with the Genji they like to throw out there, the Reaper as well, over back on Village. It's either you get a really good if you stay, or he's kind of just faded into the background and he really can't get as value as he would like. And I think for St. John's, you're at least getting a little bit more of the positive side of the coin this map.
One thing I'm going to be keeping an eye out as you say that, Salty, is if you stay, are they good because are they hot and cold because they have that vast gap of skill difference between games, or is it because of the opponents they play? It's really going to reveal a little bit about RIT, but RIT looking to push in, and they're fighting in this small room. That might be a little uncomfortable against the Doomfist, but Poppy actually going to be bringing the melee out against the Doomfist. Jolton Joe taking a little bit of pressure here, has to back up, use that immortality field from both sides, as RIT still holds this midsection, meaning they have a little bit quicker access to point. The Earth Shatter coming in big from Jolton Joe, however, going to be cleaning up 3 off the back end of it. Viz on the D-Mech as well. St. John's are going to be getting that first cap.
They will get the first cap. Viz is like, all right, I'm just going to stall to make sure I can at least go back to spawn. And what a shatter coming down from Jolton Joe to finish off that fight. As you can tell, both Reinhardt's trying to build for that shatter, trying to be the first one to use it. Seb just a few percentage points off. And now St. John's can set up close exactly where they want to be and force RIT to kind of adapt to where they're positioned.
Pine's going to be coming in on this Tracer looking for some picks, but not quite able to land. It's going to be that flashbang coming out. If you stay, hello and goodbye, I suppose, taking a dip off the map. Doomfist going to be out early, but we've seen the Doomfist go out early. We'll see if it truly shakes St. John's. Self-destruct going out from Koala Man. Shield is there. Looks like the Lucio tried to get some sort of displacement, but not able to make it connect. RIT now setting themselves up towards point, but they can't focus down that Cassidy, and they can't push the Lucio, even more importantly, because of the Deadeye. They have to keep that shield up, and eventually RIT is able to pry it out of St. John's here, but St. John's at 50% upwards.
Yeah, able to get to 50% here. It's, 49%. They're going to prove us wrong by 1%. And nice little stagger there for Foliage on the Slurpee. She'll be heading back to spawn and delaying this push for a few extra seconds, but this has been a great game so far. RT now have the resources available. They have 5 ultimates compared to St. John's, who have maybe 2 or 3 once we enter the mid-fight. Pines looking for an early pulse bomb in the back.
It's going to be sticking onto the shield, but it's actually going to be eaten by Koala Man, and if you stay able to get a double kill with that Doomfist, looking to make up for lost time from last fight, and Pines just has to try to get away. There's not much reinforcements they have available to them.
Yeah, not many reinforcements, in the big dagger for RIT. You used 4 ultimates that fight, and you still lost the fight. That is a rough pill to swallow. Pines is going to get taken out. Nice little flashbang from Fiscal to make sure if you stay can finish off that elimination. And it's a rough pill to swallow. But yeah, you used 4 ultimates. Now you barely have anything to try and push in here with St. John's. They have the better side of the ultimate economy now, and this window is just going to delay even more.
Certainly going to be putting more of that time pressure we were talking about on Village to task here. And RIT going to be trying to take a different route. They're going to be going down this side hallway. I don't like it. The exact same reason of that Doomfist. Amplification Matrix does come out, though. Earth Shatter as well. But the sound barrier trying to keep everybody up. It's just ultimates being exchanged. If you stay, however, going to be the one that finds kills with ultimates. Foliage does get the flashbang off, but it's not going to do much to stop that Reinhardt in a small hallway with a big hammer.
Yeah, not able to do anything with it. Yeah, that hammer does not care about defense matrix, does not care about anything else. St. John's looked a little scary over on Village, but they do adapt and they win the first map 2-1 and claim, you know, to show that they're still, at least to begin this series, the better team. Jolt and Joe with the play of the game on the Reinhardt. It is going to be this early shatter. You know, both Reinhardts, you know, each other are trying to go for it, but able to jump in there, get in the other Reinhardt's face. You able to kill the Cassidy just off the impact of it alone. And a great start for St. John's to continue the season they've been having, especially with them being 9-2 with this final conference game to, you know, make sure they finish in a decent position in the conference. It's a great start to the night, but they got to keep it going on Kings Row.
Yeah, absolutely have to agree. And if you're St. John's, you have a little bit of that comfort in saying, yes, we dropped the first sub map, but that was, you know, perhaps only because we weren't fully warmed up. You know, I like to call it the bag of excuses. That's a pretty common one to go to, but it's a valid reason if it's actually what's happening here. I mean, if St. John's, you know, goes into this a little bit cold, RIT, no surprise that they might be able to pull something away. Now it's going to come up to RIT to prove if they can maintain that, I guess, that dominance that they showed on that first map, because they were looking very strong there.
Yeah, they looked really strong in that first round. I think a lot of that was the Symmetra play with the Mei play. And I think as we enter and get ready to go to Kings Row, the Mei could be a factor depending on how they want to run it. You know, she's fallen out of the meta on this map a little bit. People are getting more creative on how to run Kings Row just because, as we talked about earlier, it's Scrims Row for a reason. Everybody is playing it. But if you can use those Mei walls effectively, especially on the offense to try and separate when they're retreating, or when you're pushing in, or on the defense to catch somebody off at a choke point, it's a great tool to have if you can use it correctly. And I think RIT, you got to use the Mei correctly if you have a really good shot at winning Kings Row.
I certainly have to agree. And aside from that, it's just the strongest composition that we've seen RIT on so far. I mean, we saw, I talked about it before, but the map editing skills of Mei just looks really great in the hands of RIT, especially when paired with that sim. I don't expect the sim to come out. In fact, we're not seeing the sim come out. Pine's instead going to be looking towards the Hanzo, but I do take a little bit of a sigh of breath if I'm a fan of RIT when I see Foliage on the Mei.
Yeah, you know, it is a breath of relief. Like, okay, you know, they're going to try it here. We're going to see how it goes. And Foliage, we saw it earlier. They can definitely run the Mei to a high standard. Can they catch some people off either at the hotel doors or at the choke where Seb is standing right now? But if you're St. John's, you just got to keep the range battle going, especially if you stay on the Widowmaker. Going to try and look for an early pick, but not going to see anybody, at least so far, as everybody is hiding in the hotel. And the Mei wall, not going to get what they want first time around.
Certainly not. Perhaps St. John's a little bit too sharp for that maneuver, but RIT now put themselves in a slightly uncomfortable position being wedged into this hotel. They're going to eventually get backed out by St. John's. Even though if you stay still on this Widowmaker, it doesn't seem like RIT is aware that that DPS can't quite apply pressure from inside that angle. But the Mei brings up the wall, and this could be a blender for the side of RIT. A big Earthshatter comes in as well. Seb already having it online. If you stay, gets one. That's probably not going to be enough. Maybe they can get some on exit. Doesn't seem like it.
Yeah, but it gives St. John's the opportunity to push back in here as both Ryans use the Shatter at once, and Seb able to get their Shatter landed just a half second earlier, but Seb does die to that late snipe.
No.
And there goes the Baptiste as well, and this is the chance St. John's were looking for.
St. John's are going to be doing this without an immortality field, without any of that big healing coming in from Liam Lizard, at least until they run back from spawn. It's going to be the Baby Diva now looking to get staggered out, but RIT just going to be putting a quick end to it. They want a quick fight, and you might be regretting that if you have respawns coming in.
Yeah, no, they have to reset again. Almost half the time bank gone, and RIT still holding strong. Yes, one take is given away. Inversight now used to try and scout out where they're going to be holding. But again, RIT, they're not pulling any punches, that's for sure.
The Blizzard comes out, Fiscal forced to cancel out of the Deadeye. If you stay playing on this low ground, but still seeming to have a little bit of the nerves at the start, but does connect onto Foliage with that May. Self-destruct goes out, finds very little except for a little bit of zoning, a little bit of discomfort from RIT Dragons as well. But again, two ultimates that are great for zoning, don't get any kills, but if you stay now taken out of this fight, you can play a little bit down those longer lanes, feel a little bit more comfortable, but RIT still very much so hugging that interior hotel. It looks like St. John's learned their lesson, popping the sound barrier, now trying to fight directly onto point. A nice May wall, at least would have been nice if they didn't section off Seb just a little bit. This is going to be a rough self-destruct. No, everybody able to make that line of sight break. Fiscal, Jolt, and Joe now just pushing ahead from St. John's, getting those final few kills.
Able to get the final blow. Seems like Foliage is able to get out with their life for now. St. John's is going to try and hunt them down, though, and Seb might have to almost sacrifice themselves to keep their May alive, as, yep, they will be taken out by Fiscal and company. Foliage is somehow able to escape death for now with so much space created for St. John's, because RIT has to wait for Seb to come back, and you're going to get at least halfway through the Streets phase purely because you were able to take advantage of that open space, try and get those stagger kills, and now you set yourselves up for a great position to try and get Fiscal at a good angle for this upcoming Deadeye.
See that Deadeye exactly coming out. The May will give him a little boost, but most people, again, breaking that line of sight before it becomes too relevant. Fiscal not able to connect with anything, but again, it's just cleared out the lane, but Pines going to be trying to clear out the lane on their own. Seb taking down Dalton Joe after that Earth Shatter comes through. Now Cart being hotly fought over. That May trying to slow down the Diva. Looks like Foliage got caught in a little bit of a reload here as that Diva was exfiltrating. If you stay dangerously low, able to get one on the way out. Viz, I believe, got them with the Bunny Blaster before they did, though. Gonna now be Mr. Koala Man continuing to try to tiptoe here. I'm kind of surprised St. John's continuing to try to push this, but that Hanzo so dangerously low, able to get that health pack, but it's not going to be enough. Right now, the continuation for St. John's, the Immortality Field comes through to help the main tank and the rest of the team, frankly, for St. John's. And right now, RIT has to try to wait for a recontest at this very last moment.
Yeah, they have to wait last second because their down members in this fight never truly ended. And now RIT, they do have the Shadow online. Here comes the Blizzard, gonna try and get the Reinhardt, and they will. Viz able to take them out, and now the rest of the fight is going to develop over the point with Dragons kind of separating the entirety of the defense. But it seems like RIT, they've regained control of the carts, and they will force St. John's to retreat and try again with just over 2 minutes left. But RIT have Shatter. Again, Seb's been holding on to it for, I think, almost 2 minutes now, and Joel and Joe knows that they have it. They've been kind of trying to body for position with their body language, trying to bait it out, not able to so far. So maybe an early Shatter or Ant Matrix coming out from Poppy can set the tone for RIT, this defensive fight.
If you're Foliage, you have a huge opportunity. You can perhaps try to navigate around that Rhine shield, put some freeze down, and then set up for a nice Earth Shatter. It's going to be the Dragons coming out, RIT, buying themselves a little bit of space around that first crook for them. Deadeye comes out, Fiscal going to slowly be navigating around with that Rhine shield. Doesn't find anything, however, kept nicely in pocket by Koala Man. Now it's going to be the Amplification Matrix coming through. The Earth Shatter, perhaps led a little bit too heavily by Seb. The pin comes in, drops their shield, forces the Earth Shatter to knock down 5, and now the rest of St. John's going to be caving in on the rest of RIT. This is not the position you wanted to be in.
Yeah, St. John's, they take advantage, though. Seb still does not use the Shatter. They've held on to it, I think, for 2 minutes now. And at this point, you just got to use it, right? Get it off your mind and just build another one, because you're trying to play around it too much, and it's just not working. At St. John's now, with if you stay on the Hanzo, you can try and create some space with this Dragon Strike to create more space around this S-curve and just allow RIT, and not allow RIT to try and hold this corner like they want. And there it splits up the tanks, able to take out Storm's Eye in the process. Seb, they die during the animation of that Shatter, which is potentially worst case scenario.
This is such a tough spot for RIT. You think maybe, all right, we really wanted to use that Earth Shatter, speed past the shields, but not going to be able to take advantage of it. Pines taking down Slurpee, however, the Amplification Matrix tries to come through. Seb and company all knocked down, 4 members knocked off of cart. Self-destruct goes out, but the shield's enough to keep people protected for the side of St. John's. Now it's going to be a Koala Man bomb trying to come through, gets one. The remake trying to come through, doesn't connect, and once again at the final moments of this point, RIT hold.
Yeah, they keep clawing back time and time again, And now you're getting to the point where even if St. John's do capture it, there will probably be an overtime period if RIT does, but I doubt they're going to be able to capture it here with over a minute, which is honestly a huge win for RIT, seeing how the final 2 rounds of Nepal went. But this round not over yet. Gonna have the Deadeye with the shield going up, and they're almost gonna get eaten up by those dragons.
I love how regularly we're seeing Pines hold that dragon until Fiscal throws down the Deadeye. Fiscal is eventually going to find their revenge in taking down Pines. Jolt and Joe perhaps getting a little bit too heady. They're getting really far forward into this fight, but now it's going to be If You Stay's opportunity to return with some dragons, and they are going to be successful in splitting up the team chaotically enough for RIT to get picked apart, dismantled one by one. Storm's Eye, Pines, both trying to just survive. They are the lone members remaining on point. Flashbang whiffs. Fiscal can't seem to connect their shots, but it doesn't matter. The card still gets delivered.
Yeah, still gets delivered. 35 seconds left on the clock. And it's not a perfect push from St. John's, but they get the job done nonetheless. And honestly, RIT, they're looking good. They're looking a lot better than I think a lot of people thought they were going to in this series. And St. John's still, probably scratching their heads on a few little things. They get a little bit split during the middle of these team fights. Jolt and Joe was just getting targeted by Foliage in 7. It's working out for RIT most of the time. You can't count on Fiscal and If You Stay popping off as many times as they have. It's worked so far, but you gotta wonder if eventually that's going to be able to break.
I think that's exactly what we saw on First Point. If You Stay seemed a little bit lackluster when you talk about standout Widowmaker performances on that first. And I wanted to ask, do you think RIT's best showing so far has been on that First Point?
I think so, yeah, because I think Streets phase, they got staggered out so much, they really weren't able to hold the corners they want. They had to hold at the very end of the map. And then later on in third phase, they just never got their footing again. Yes, they made the miraculous defense hold at the very end, but they couldn't do what they wanted to do. But when they could set up on the angles they want, they looked pretty good on point A here. So it's looking better. They're going to be running the Sim Bastion strat, it looks like, with Viz. I'll tell you, Mr. Koala Man is already on the statue, so they may have to knock the Diva down to I think the Diva, still up there. They're going to have to deal with the Diva, and they do, and now here goes Pines.
Oh, Pines almost getting separated. That Reinhardt, however, now just down lane at the spawn. Dangerously low, but eventually able to get bailed out. But this is a nice turn of fortune here. RIT able to get set up early onto this point and immediately start putting pressure down. Storm's Eye even able to get a kill onto Fiscal. Pines doesn't look like they know whether they want to set up or have to keep moving, bobbing and weaving, trying to avoid damage. Jolt and Joe going to make the decision for them, taking it right to them. Liam Lizard able to get 2 kills as well with their Baptiste. And right now, RIT gets 1, but that's all they're walking away with.
Yeah, able to get a tick, and now they're going to swap it up. Pines over to the Hanzo now. And the niche strat, it worked out for a little bit, but they could not figure out where Stay was, and they just kept poking and poking, and eventually St. John's closed the gap, and they jump on the Bastion. Now they're going to be swapping over to the traditional rush with Storm's Eye on the Lucio, Poppy on the Baptiste, Viz on Diva, and then the Cassidy and May DPS line. Which, now, if you're St. John's, if you can win this fight with no ultimates, you're at such an advantage in the ult economy. But you're going to have to use Shatter here, and it does.
You're absolutely going to be wishing you had those ultimates, but committing to the fight, making sure you hold here, certainly going to be worth it as well. And a nice little stagger on Viz, kind of the story we've seen so far, especially in Nepal. Going to continue to be a storyline here.
Yeah, going to continue to be a storyline for sure. And this is about when St. John's was able to break through the defensive hold of RIT and start their push.
Oh.
So let's see if RIT can do the same, and gonna have to wait a little longer. Nice little headshot there from If You Stay. And this is the good side of the coin of If You Stay that we don't always see. Them on this Hanzo, usually it's either on the Genji or the Hanzo, we see them actually have pretty decent performances, and so far able to line up those shots and putting a lot of pressure on the front line.
And going to be playing far enough to split up the team with dragons, and not even everybody encompassed in that immortality field. Poppy, one of the unfortunate souls who couldn't get covered by her own immortality. And If You Stay going to continue to keep landing these shots. Koala eventually going to be demeched, so there is an opening here for RIT if they can prevent Koala from getting that free mech.
I think Pines might have just had his mega health pack stolen by Viz, but able to, get healed up nonetheless. But it helps your teammates a little bit more if you wait. But they do have the Deadeye online, like you said, and maybe they're going to try and use that with the window instead, maybe just the speed Deadeye. Going in, Seb has no shield though, so you have to wait even longer, and they're going to have to go around and play around this Ant Matrix from Liam Blizzard.
You're probably fine with that because you'd be wasting your shield. I say wasting, you'd be utilizing your shield on that amplification matrix either way. Blizzard goes out, but immediately gets eaten, and then the dragons come out, forcing Seb forward, meaning that he's going to be going into the waiting arms of the tanks. And, well, we've seen that play out time and time again, but Seb falls here. Jolt and Joe as well, so without a main shield, St. John's might be looking on wobbly legs.
Yeah, they're going to commit the sound barrier here, trying to win this out. Diva Bomb is sent out by Viz. They're going to live, and as you know, they're not going to live. Going to take it out right before they can get back in back, but they do. I mean, they are able to get one with the Diva Bomb. St. John's. This trade battle does not go their way eventually, but they're going to try and look for. And the Maywall will say no to that. Great Maywall from Foliage confirms St. John's can now recontest, and RIT still fighting.
You've only won the partial battle, however, because now St. John's has firm control over this archway. It's going to be the Deadeye coming through, but I believe it's blocked immediately by that May wall. Not going to be able to connect onto anything, but still going to be Pines digging a little bit at the side of Jolt and Joe, forcing a little bit of attention away from that team. Earthshatter goes out, but Seb holding shield firm. Nicely played there. Dragons come out, forcing RIT, flushing them from that archway. Now we see the flow of them go right back in. Does Seb find this Earthshatter? He does. He finds it big onto half the team of St. John's. Pin goes through, doesn't connect. Seb left in alleyway a little bit uncomfortably, but the Casty stuck frozen in time and in place. But Fiscal not going to be too bothered by that. Eventually does get the kill onto Seb. No main tank now for the side of RIT, but nobody told this May that continuing to fire away icicles and push back the rest of St. John's.
Yes, St. John's, they do have the frontline power right now, and Foliage can just continue moving forward because they have. Honestly, St. John's is respecting this May a lot more now, considering how they've not been playing around it for the first half of this map. Now that Reinhardt is back, they can start resisting a little bit. Now both teams back at full strength.
And we were talking about respecting that May, but that Diva caught out a little bit too early. Mr. Koala Man going to be pinned out of mech. It's going to be the only loss that St. John seems to suffer so far. Seb does eventually kill Mr. Koala Man. Jolt and Joe now going to be taken down. No tanks available for St. John's. The question is, does Rochester have the roster to maintain themselves? Fiscal going to be throwing that Deadeye, but RIT can still just hide behind the cart. Liam Lizard trying to be the one to contest along with that Lucio, eventually taken down by Poppy. Pines cleaning up Slurpee, and now it looks like this cart might make second, and all of a sudden, third point's looking realistic here.
Yeah, third point in overtime looking more and more like a reality. Add a minute and a half onto that clock, 2.5 minutes. And they'll have about just under 2 minutes to try and have a better time than St. John's if they do fully capture it and they have some resources to do it. St. John's, a little bit more in favor of them, though, in the ultimate economy. Can they get value out of this window to create some space for the rest of the team, especially this Dragons, and it goes through.
Oh.
And not is able to get through two.
Getting two, but either way, the entire team's going to be taken off the board. That is a quick fight. Relatively safe investment from St. John's. 2 minutes, and they still have 3 ultimates.
Yeah, still have 3 ultimates ready to go. RIT going to have 3 once the Storm's Eye gets her sound barrier here, 14%. For them to get that ultimate, but RIT gonna have to respect this window, and Storm's she's gonna be sent back to spawn instead. This Deadeye not really gonna get anything from sudden. RIT not in a very comfortable position.
It's just all gonna be cleanup. That's so unfortunate. Storm's Eye just kind of let the team down there. You get taken out early on. Your Ryan goes for a pin that lands a little bit awry, doesn't quite connect, and now St. John's slowly working at building some of their ultimates back up, but RIT only has 2 in the near future.
Yeah, only 2 in the near future. They need to get value out of this shatter from Seb. I think Joel and Joe's been slightly winning the main tank too, but they have to get something from it here.
It's going to be hard when Fiscal already trying to wear down the shield of Seb with that Deadeye. Seb just kind of playing frontman right here. Not really doing a whole lot with their hammer, but able to provide a nice opening. Blizzard goes out once again, catches Jolt and Joe right in the mix of things. The swings continue to try to come through. A nice flick shield coming in from Seb, but gets knocked off the map. That is so unfortunate. You really needed that Reinhardt to stay in place, especially since the crowd control ultimates were looking so strong from RIT. And so in possession. Storm's Eye even throwing in that sound barrier. RIT getting chased all the way back to spawn. St. John's really wants to make this uncomfortable.
Yeah, they want to make it uncomfortable. They want to make this upcoming fight the final fight. And I think they've already done that is it's going to take RIT even longer to get back together here. Coming out of spawn, 15 seconds left. They really only have Deadeye, Bomb, and Ant Matrix for this next fight. Ant Matrix used early yet again. It's able to get Poppy.
We do see the D-Mech come through. Mr. Koala Man not able to find it, but the Earth Shatter lands onto both the DPS of RIT. That means a lot of CC, the flashbang, the walls, all going to be out of the fight for a moment. We're seeing the Dragons now be committed here. This looks like it for RIT. 2 members remaining. Deadeye goes out, cleans up those 2. Brian tries to go in for the pin, can't quite make it happen. Instead, it's going to be the return pin and the completion for St. John's. RIT not as fortunate.
Yeah, not as fortunate as they were maybe at the beginning of this map. St. John's take the dominating 2-0 lead now in the series. If you stay, gets the play of the game. They have really turned it on, especially with some of these Dragons. You don't always see the impact of the kill feed. This time you will with the double final elimination. Also got some of the elimination credit for the other 2, but most of those Dragons were just zoning, and it split up the front line of RIT every single time. It could never seem like RIT were able to go as a full 6 into those fights, and it showed time and time again. And St. John's, they're kicking on all cylinders, and this is without Rich. Like, that is a scary thought, because we usually say Rich is one of their best players, especially on that DPS role. This is without them in play. This is a very dangerous team.
Yeah, St. John's definitely looking like a sharpened knife right now. The question remains, will they maintain that momentum? Will they maintain that sharpness going into our next map? We will be taking a quick break, but folks, make sure you stick around so we can find out together. We'll be back after this.
Do you wanna know how I feel? I feel fucking terrible. I feel shit.
We are back, Twin, and I think the word of the day that I want to use, especially for RIT, has been improvement. Because this is a team that is not been the sharpest knife. If I'm keeping on my analogy of knives for some reason today, but they have severely grown in some of their lethality that we've seen. I mean, we're seeing them come off pretty clean, and especially if I think back to Nepal, a couple of those fights. I don't know if it's St. John's just getting acclimated or what the instance is here, but RIT definitely in a strong way.
Yeah, RIT, they're a different RIT than we've seen. I think it's a different RIT than that played St. John's in week 8. The thing for them now is consistency because the peaks of RIT today have been great. And it's been a team that, can be a dark horse and beat a St. John's. And then we see the execution of the Sim Bastion strat on King's Row to where I think St. John's had 2 or 3. It was the Reinhardt and Div, I believe, on RIT's side of choke. The rest were either on back high ground or by a hotel. And instead of maybe trying to focus, push back to your own spawn, finish off the tanks, and then move in, they charge point. The Reinhardt comes back. The Bastion is in such an awkward position, and everything fumbles apart. But then you see it later on where RT, they're kicking on all cylinders. So it's like, we just got to, if they can get consistent with that high tier play, we could easily see a map 4, especially on a map like Volskaya where niche strats are abound. I would love to see double shield with the Sim and the Bastion on the defense. I don't know if they're starting on defense or not, but you got to bring something out like that because I think St. John's, when they're not running a rush mirror, they struggle.
Yeah, I mean, St. John's has been showing a little bit of difficulty against something that's a little bit out of pocket for them, as something that they're perhaps not too scrimmed against. And, RIT, we talked about the niche strat on Nepal. I said that, well, it's a niche strat, but it shows some fundamentals. I think that they need to kind of dig into those things that are, perhaps a little bit non-conventional or not as seen as often, but still exhibit some of those great fundamentals. That's where they can really come out and shine here. And I'll admit it here. I said that RIT has a chance to go to this map 4 if St. John's fumbles in a severe way and RIT is real keen on it.
Yeah, it has to be RIT playing well to force us to a map 4. You cannot bank on St. John's fumbling the bag. RIT is going to be on the defense first. We're not going to see the double shield, but we are going to see the dive come in. With foliage on the Echo, if he stays, going to have to keep them in check. And St. John's going to be running kind of a little bit of this Chaos Comp with kind of Chaos Comp dive hybrid, I would say, with the Wrecking Ball in play. And now just trying to figure out their way in here. And Pines just firing a little bit of pop shots. making St. John's wait even longer.
If you're RIT, you just want to try right now to focus on a slow engagement. I mean, you want to be fast on it, but the longer you can wait for that engagement, the better you're going to be. Seb immediately having to take a dive back. Foliage able to take the opportunity. Gatch Fiscal out. Foliage, however, going to be trading their own life for it. Wrecking Ball, Jolt and Joe able to get to that health kit fast enough, allow themselves a moment of breath against these two tanks. And now RIT looks a little bit too invested in trying to chase down this ball. This is something I don't want to see them get fixated on.
Yeah, they're chasing the ball way too much, and they just leave the back door open for the rest of St. John's to give value. Storm's Eye is already gone. Seb's going to join them in the spawn room, and I think Poppy will soon as well. And again, started out well from RT, but they focus way too much on the Wrecking Ball. They get split up, and that is exactly what this composition wants you to do. They want you to get split, and they want to dive on that most valuable member. That time around, it was Storm's Eye and Foliage who died early. And now St. John's is going to be able to cap 5.5 minutes on the clock. And you cannot be affording those kind of errors. Pines. Maybe just a manual reset. I don't know. Don't really need to jump off there, but they at least get that quick respawn. And now both teams at full strength. And I think Jolt and Joe looking for something in the back, if we saw the silhouette correct a few seconds ago.
Well, as a Wrecking Ball, you have a little bit more freedom to do that. You have a little bit more freedom to scout, to get those openings as you see fit. But RIT, one thing they're going to have to contest with is this Discord coming out from Liam, especially Seb, looking a little bit bullied by it every single time. Jolt and Joe now going to be trying to go in for that throw, trying to get some strong displacement to come through here. Eventually does after a quick back out. Those mines even going to be restricting movement from RIT. And right now, RIT looking shakier, I think, than we've seen them so far.
Yeah, they don't know what to do with the comp being run by St. John's right now. They're going to use the duplicate to try and stall for more time. Viz also going to use the self-destruct, able to take out their counterpart. And they can at least stall this out for a little bit. One tick is already acquired by St. John's. We'll see if they can get any more from this fight. But I think for right now, they're just going to elect to back out.
Well, Fiscal might not be given the option, but Seb also not going to be given the option, apparently. We say back out, but it's a really soft reset, allowing for a very quick regroup from St. John's. And if you stay able to get two, one with the rockets, one with the standard blaster rifle, and we can see if you stay continuing to fire the shots here, Shield Bash is trying to come through. St. John's not going to be kept in check, however, allowed to just rush onto point, and RIT doesn't look like they have too much to deal with. Seb, of course, no surprise getting burned down. It's the Discord I was talking about.
Yeah, the Discord orb. There's a reason why Zenyatta is creeping back into the meta. It is that kind of value with the Discord orb in these comps where target prioritization is key. And when you can get it running just like St. John's did, it is nearly unstoppable. That is probably the worst we've seen on RIT today. And we were praising them earlier. They've looked good. They've looked better than the past. This was the RIT I was afraid we were going to see today. As they just look shaky. They look not coordinated very well. And St. John's is picking them apart one by one.
And one does have to wonder, at least I tend to wonder, what the thought process behind the dive was. I mean, RIT, we haven't seen them run dive yet, and I mean, I certainly think that after that performance, we can say it doesn't look like one of their stronger compositions.
Yeah, it was definitely... I think they believed St. John's was going to run something else from the looks of it. They just didn't expect the Chaos comp coming out, and in turn didn't know how to counter it with the composition they were running. St. John's now going to run something very similar to what RIT was running on their defense. If you stay is on the Genji, we've seen him on it a few times in the past. That is one of the heroes they like to pick quite often, so we'll have to wait and see if they get a lot of value out of it. But RIT, yeah, you need to get something working here, and I think a good start would be setting a good pace into point A. You're running the rush. You have to push that opposing high ground to try and force the supports to rotate around.
No dive this time, RIT learning from their consequences of last round. And right now, this is something I don't want to see out of them. They're taking a little bit long in the choke. That gives the dive more time to set up, more time to find those weak openings, just like Storm's Eye. Storm's Eye getting taken down, courtesy of not the dive, but instead just a shot from the rifle of Ash. And now RIT stuck inside this small building. If you stay, going to be able to get a lot of damage. A big anti-nade coming through off of 4. Foliage eventually cleaned up off the back end of it. And this is such an uncomfortable position. You're able to take down if you stay, but that does not seem like enough.
No, it'll not be enough. What? Are Storm's Eye actually going to live that? No, they're just gonna make sure they take a little bit extra of a trip. Still, RIT, they're a little split right now. They have Poppy and Viz up here on the high ground. Poppy's gonna get taken out. Joe Joe's Primal Rage for a little bit of emphasis on how they won that fight. And there goes D.Va off the cliff. And RIT, again, they get split early, and St. John's pick them apart one by one, as you said as well. Took way too long to get through the choke. Physical able to get a quick little headshot. Bob is already ready to go. And St. John's, they're just looking better than ever. Once they get settled into these series, it is very hard to stop them.
RIT has only a few ultimates to work with. They have that Deadeye. They have the Amplification Matrix. They have Attack Visor coming up soon, but not quite sure exactly who they can lock down with any of those ultimates, especially with Bob diving right into the field. It's going to be Seb trying to go for the pin to stop him, but that means that Seb is just going to get cleaned up. Immortality Field not even able to save him at this point. Just like that, RIT in another situation where they are trapped in a very enclosed room. They have to try to make their movements here, but St. John's going to be playing smart enough not to get caught out.
You're not going to be able to caught out quite yet. Trying to stall for time for Seb to come back into this. If you stay, you can tell they're waiting for it. They want to use this blade. They may not even need to, though. The double dash, able to hit one. And it's just so much time off the clock yet again for RIT. Already half of the time being gone. And, Seb's not even going to be able to get him. The D.Va is able to escape. And Storm's Eye is going to be taken out. And I don't understand the rotation there to left. It takes so much time, and it allows St. John's to adapt. At least if you go the other way, you run quick, and you at least force Lizard to rotate a little bit instead. They can just meet you right up on the high ground with the Tesla cannon from Jolt and Joe and just pick you apart yet again. Here comes the Nano!
Oh, the Nano Blade goes out. D.Va Bomb gonna be meaning that Fizz is an open target. 3 taken down from the Blade. I'm sure a lot more slash damage done across the board as well.
Yeah, that was near perfect. You can tell if you stay was looking for it. All they had to use was the Nano Blade. They still have 4 ultimates. RIT had to use 2 ultimates just to at least try and stay in that fight. But it was for nothing, and it's looked bleak tonight for RIT. I don't know if it's ever looked this bleak.
I want to see Foliage on that Maid be at least an answer to a Genji, or the Primal Rage coming through here, allowing Seb to just get taken down. It's going to be the Bob coming into this small room, and it seems like some lessons are just not being learned, Salty.
No, it's getting to the point. I don't know why they're still running this. They have not used this. I don't think they've ever used Shatter this game in this round. I don't know if they've used either DPS ultimate up to this point. You cannot run rush against a dive like this on Volskaya if you do not know how to counter it. And RIT, again, they're learning that lesson the hard way. Now they have 5 seconds to push in. They're going to have somebody touch, but I don't know how many people they're actually going to have value. No, they don't have touch.
Never mind.
Never mind.
But
yeah. I don't know.
That is, overall, I gotta say, quite frankly, a very disappointing end to the run we've seen RIT have. And I use the word run not in the sense of, they've been amassing wins, but just in the strength of their performance. It did not look there today. I mean, no adaptation. I said improvement was the word of the day for RIT, but they're making me look like a fool for that. And it leaves a bad taste in the mouth.
Yeah, that's definitely the way to put it, because we saw the improvement on Nepal, and we saw the improvement throughout King's Row. They looked better and better, and they just couldn't get over the finish line. That was a huge regression on Volskaya. I don't know if maybe not a map they scrim a lot. They just looked off. They did not. That was the RIT that we've seen against a lot of these top-tier teams, is just the team that doesn't show up. And now, as they look towards the rest of their season, it is a lot easier going down the line. They play Ryder next week. That is a game you need to win to at least try and save this season to where you can finish around 500. I think right now they are 5-7. They're going to try and maybe finish, maybe 8-8, something around there. But it's a rough loss for RIT, especially the way it ended.
That's kind of what I tend to call the backbreaker. That's just a moment where it's like you have all that anticipation building up for, maybe something great happens here, and then the opposite happens. Something terrible happens. And now you have to wonder, does this affect your mentality moving forward? I hope that at least for their mentality, RIT is able to take some of the good away from this. Hey, we looked really strong on Nepal. We looked really strong on some parts of Kings Row. We had a couple of slip ups. We had a couple of things we can improve, but we're going to use that to improve and come back stronger.
Yeah, you gotta take those plus. I'm fumbling my words just like they were fumbling their offense. But it's just they struggled, but there is positives to take out of this game. And that's just the way the mindset you have to have. I think maybe mentally they broke a little bit on third. They just looked off. I don't know why you keep going the same way. You've been shut down time and time again. When are you going to learn that maybe it's not a great idea to go that way? Maybe they'll look back in VOD view and kind of talk to themselves about it in the exact way we were saying it. But for St. John's, they're 10-2. They are now a team that maybe creeps up into the conversation of contenders. I don't think they're at the level of UT Arlington or Colorado quite yet, but they are definitely at least starting to creep into that conversation, especially if they can beat Maris in 2 weeks. But, you know, you wonder what the mindset is with them, and we'll actually be able to pick the mind of Mr. Koala Man here in just a minute after this quick break.
So what was it like being married? It's hard for sure. But there's something that feels so good about sharing your life with somebody.
Last week, my feelings were hurt by something you said before that I don't know what it's like to lose something, and I found myself.
Sorry, I said that.
No, it's okay. It's okay. I caught myself thinking about it.
Hello, folks, and we are back. As you can see, we are sitting here in the interview booth. St. John's University, Mr. Koala Man. Hello, welcome, and congratulations.
Hello, thank you for having me.
Of course. Now, that was a better RIT game than we've seen, but I don't really want to talk about RIT right now. We have a St. John's member in chat, so let's talk about St. John's here. I want to talk about something that me and Twin Salty kind of alluded to a little bit, but we didn't really go in depth. We saw a lot of If You Stay, and we didn't see Rich come out at all. Was there a particular reason for that, a particular mindset, or was it just kind of a scheduling issue?
He had work.
Ah. Simple enough.
He's a very busy person. The fact that he makes it to some of the games, we really appreciate. He's got a very busy life in terms of work and school, and it's really difficult. And the fact that he even fits us in is we're grateful for it. So he couldn't make it today, and that's okay. We still had enough people. Everything was good, and it went our way.
Yeah, how is it like having that versatility on DPS? You know, Rich when he's able to be there, and you know you have if Day and oh my god, I'm forgetting the name.
Fiscal.
Fiscal. Thank
Yeah.
you. I'm
Yeah,
blanking.
fiscal.
How is it having that versatility on on the DPS lines where you know at any point in time you can rotate who you need and kind of fit any DPS slots you really need?
Oh, it's great, but it's tough to practice with people who don't have time. So it's tough to run different DPS as a team. It's difficult to run like niche characters or niche characters like the Torbjorn, like the Sabra, like the Genji. All these characters, they're relatively. I mean, not so much Genji. You have so many one-trick players in comp. Let's be honest, but it's difficult to practice these stranger comps. People have to know what they're doing. So it's a blessing and it's a curse because yes, Sombra might work, but we also maybe we didn't practice Sombra that much recently, so we kind of have to remember what to do in those 45 seconds before a match starts, or those 30 seconds in between fights, or however long. So it's definitely a blessing and a curse.
Yeah, and at least tonight it was definitely a blessing for you guys. As you guys are entering the final stretch of your schedule, now you guys are 10-2. You will enter the top. You are in the top 5 of the standings right now. How are you guys looking at the rest of this season, especially a matchup with Marist, who are 9-1 entering tonight in just 2 weeks?
Um, I think that we're looking forward to getting into the playoffs, getting down and dirty a little bit. We're really looking. I think how many games do we have left? I think we're looking
I believe
forward
you
to
have
like
5 left.
yeah. I think we're trying to go 14-2. So if we keep up this energy, we keep up the communication, keep up practicing. I think we can do it. I think we have enough talent on this team. We have a lot of talent on the team. We just got to work on getting the talent to mesh together a little bit better, and I think that it's going to be great.
I'll speak for Salty and myself. We're both very excited to see how St. John's continues to progress here. I'll be rooting for only those 2 losses for your team for the rest of the season. But Mr. Koala Man, thank you very much for coming in here and answering a few of our questions. But before we let you go, as always, I'd like to give you the opportunity for any shout outs.
Yeah, I want to shout out specifically Liam Lizard for doing a little bit of scouting, finding out about the Bastion strategy, and he was like, "Wait, guys, if they're gonna do this, we have to scout. We have to be careful." You should have heard him in the chat. He was so proud of himself. But no, seriously, shout out to everybody on the team. Shout out to Rich. Shout out to If You Stay. Everybody else on the team as well, of course. But those 2 in particular, it's a challenge for them to get to play with us, and we definitely appreciate when they do. Everyone's putting in hard work right now, and it's difficult given the current political situation of everything to stay focused. And everyone's been doing a great job, but here's to just keeping it going. Thank you guys.
Absolutely. And thank you, Mr. Koala Man. In case I haven't said it enough or at all, congratulations.
Thank you.
And with that, Twin Salty, we are going to take it to a brief break. But folks, when we come back, more high octane action, UT Arlington versus University of Tennessee coming up after this. So make sure you stick around to catch our final game of the night after this.